everybody, welcome to the Grace Farm Kitchen. I'm Nicole, my husband Adam is behind the camera. You'll see him later in this process, but we are sharing with you our first canning video. We hope that there will be many more, but we are going to share with you the easiest to get started canning recipe, and it is for grape jelly. We actually found the recipe through this book here. And we decided to start with it because we have a daughter who eats peanut butter and jelly every day and has since kindergarten, and she's 10. So we are currently out of it, and Monday is rolling around pretty quickly, so we need to go ahead and make sure that we have that jelly for Monday. There's several steps in it, and we're going to go through how to start, what to start with. The recipe in this book says that it'll make 5 to 6 8-ounce jars of jelly, and these jellies will actually last us, if you make a sandwich every day, about 10 days worth of sandwiches. But with your jars, you want to check them first, especially if you've used them before, and make sure that they're not cracked. We have already went and cleaned all of these and washed all of them, and also the tops and the rings that come with them, we give those a quick rinse with hot soapy water. These will need to go into hot water to sterilize for about 10 minutes. I think it's like between 170 and 180 degrees water. So we're going to drop those in there, and so that they can get nice and hot, because when we put the hot jelly in the jar, you don't want it to be a cold jar because the hot jelly will make it crack. So we're going to take these over here now and drop them in. So the ingredients that you'll need to do this are 100% grape juice, 3 cups of that. You'll need 4.5 cups of granulated sugar and a box of fruit pectin. And what this does is it speeds up the process of the fruit juice to make that gelatinous jelly type consistency that we're looking for. You'll need 1 box of that. So to start with that, we're going to pour our juice in here. In 1 box, this whole packet of the pectin. And while it's here, we're just going to stir and break up all that pectin, make sure it's dissolved. Alright, that looks good to me, so we're going to take it over to the stove. So we're going to put this on high heat. I like to put it just below high heat. And you're going to constantly stir until it starts boiling. And this will take a little bit.
Alright, so now that we got the jelly boiling, you're going to add your 4.5 cups of sugar, and during that process you add it all at one time.
And that's a lot.
And it's a lot. It might seem like a lot, and it is, but trust me, it's good. And so now what you're going to do is you're going to stir that sugar in. And as you can see, the boiling has stopped. And so you're going to stir the sugar in, and then once it gets back to what's called a roaring boil or rolling boil, where no matter what you do, it continues to bubble. At that point, you will then set a timer for 1 minute and stir during that whole 1 minute. Because if you stop stirring, that jelly is going to burn to the bottom of your pot, and you're not going to be happy. Alright, as you guys can see, it's bubbling. No, not quite. Alright, here we go. Alright, go ahead and set a timer for 1 minute. As you can see, no matter what I do, the stirring, the bubbles don't go away. Apologize for the steam coming off this. It's a little cold in the house, so got a lot of steam. There's my lovely assistant, So yeah, there we go. So as you can see, like, it is the biggest thing. You want to make sure you get a big pot because it could boil over, but we've got a pretty big pot here, so it'll take a lot for it to boil over. But make sure you get a big pot, because if it boils over, this stuff's very, very hot. It can burn you. So get a very big pot. All right, we're almost there. And you keep stirring. You don't want this to burn the bottom of your pot. Just keep stirring. All right, there's the minute. Turn the heat off. Carry it on over to where you're going to do your canning.
So while that's cooling, just for a second, I'm going to go ahead and take our jars out and take them over to where we're going to can.
Okay.
So if you look inside the pot, you'll see this like foam, and you can kind of scrape it off. And you want to take it out of here because nobody wants that in their jars. So if you just have a spoon and a little plate, put it in. Now some of this will just get in there. And that's okay. It's not going to do anything or make it bad or taste weird. It's just going to have a little bit of fizzy bubbles on it. All right, so we're ready to fill up our jars, and there's a couple things that you'll need. You'll need a ladle. You'll need a canning funnel that sits right inside of your jars like that. You'll need your rings and your lids, and you'll also need a headspace tool, and we'll show you how to use that in just a minute. And then you'll also need your jars, your jar, I'm not sure what this thing is called, but it's to pick up your jars because they are flaming hot so that you can carry them back over to the water bath canner. But first, oh, and you'll need a rag to wipe the tops, and you'll see how messy that gets in just a second. So when you're filling up these jelly jars, the instructions say that there needs to be, isn't that beautiful, a 1/4 inch headspace. And the more you do this, the better you'll get at recognizing where that space is. But you'll take your tool that has different measurements of 1 inch, 3/4, half, 1/4 inch, and you're just going to, where it says a 1/4 inch, you're just going to set it on the side of the jar, and it needs to touch the top. And we obviously need some more in this one. So you can actually just take some out with a spoon. And it sits right on top. So from here you want to take your rag with some hot water on it, and the sides of these jars are so hot. But you want to wipe off, and you can see where I had jelly on the top there. Just wipe that off. You get a top, and you want to screw this just finger tight. Doesn't need to be cranked on there. And you're going to do these one at a time. So once I fill one up, put the lid on, crank on the top. You're going to use your jar picker-upper and set it down into the water. Right on top. So this is the last one going in, and we ended up being able to do, let me spread them out just a little bit. Oh, that's fine. We were able to do 5. We had one with a little bit of extra, so we'll just put that in a jar and stick it straight in the fridge. One thing I do need to check is to make sure that we have at least 1 inch of water over the top, and we need to add some water actually. So So really you're just going to pour it right in till you get at least 1 inch of space over top. And then we're going to put the lid on. And we're going to take this up to boiling. And so we're going to put the lid on, and it's going to go for 10 minutes in this water bath canning. And once it's done, once it's at a rolling boil, we'll go for 10 minutes. And then we'll get to the next step at that. But before I go any further, I want to talk about that this is just a stock pot. There are water bath canners that you can purchase, but this is just a stock pot. We don't do a whole lot of canning, just our small family of 3. But this is just a stock pot that we were able to do water bath canning in. There's also pressure canning, but water bath canning, you can do anything that's high acidic food. That's going to be all fruits, tomatoes. There's other things that we will go into that. Low acid foods like I think potatoes, carrots, green beans, things like that don't have that much acid in them. Those need to go into a pressure canner. We do not have one of those yet. We're hoping by the end of our summer harvest that we will have a pressure canner and be able to show you how to do green beans and carrots and all of those things. But for right now, we're just going to do water bath canning things. So I can hear it starting to bubble in there now. You can there's going to be some rattling that you hear. It's all normal. But we're just going to wait for those 10 minutes. And the 10 minutes depends on your elevation as well. And we'll put a chart up to show you the different processing times based on your elevation. So you'll just need to figure out how far above sea level are you. We're not that far, so it's just the regular time for us.
All right, as you can see that the water is now boiling. So what you need to do is you need to set a 10-minute timer. Oh. There we go, 10 minutes. So you're gonna let this boil for 10 minutes. Once it's done boiling for 10 minutes, you're gonna turn the heat off, let it sit for 5 minutes. Then after the 5 minutes, you can then start removing the jars. All right, y'all, so the timer just went off. We need to reduce the heat, take the lid off, and now let it sit for 5 minutes. Looks like all the cans made it. There's no seepage from what we can tell. So, yep, let it sit for 5 minutes.
All right, guys, it's the magical time to take them out of the stock pot canner thing here and put them onto your counter. You are going to want to put them on a towel. Some people have, granite or marble. Any of those counters could be cold, and when you put a hot jar on the cold counter, it could cause the stuff inside to siphon out or to crack, and you don't want to do that after all this hard work. So put a towel down, and we're going to take them out one by one, obviously. And when you pull it out, you want to resist the urge to tip it over and get that water off the top. That water will drain off of the top. But because if you tip it, it could cause the stuff to break the seal and siphon out. And we don't want to do that. Look at that color. And when you put them out, you want here on the towel, on the counter, you want to give them some space to cool off. And then you wait to hear that magical sound of the tops popping so that you know that it's sealed. Gotta scoop these back over. There we go. You're going to want to let these sit undisturbed for 24 hours is the best, but for at least for 12 hours. And what's going to happen is did you hear it? So what's happening now is they're cooling down, they're sealing. And what's happening is like this one you can see from earlier has that sound. It's because it's not sealed. But as this stuff cools and as it comes out of the hot temperature, the air, it'll suction down that seal and make it super tight. And what will end up happening is that you will get a super tight seal. So after they sit for the 24 hours, you want to take the ring off. And when you do that, you will find either it's sealed or it didn't. This is this was our carrot cake jam, which we might do a video on that too. Oh, there went another one. But when it seals, you can see that that lid that we put on there is staying super tight. I'm just holding by that, and you can't hear that noise like you can on this one. It's because it's sealed. This one's not sealed. It's ready to go. But to be used.
All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Please make sure to like and subscribe to our channels, and click on the little bell for notifications to indicate when we have uploaded new videos. And we hope you guys have a blessed day. How much for the dog in the window?